Alrighty, so hello everyone, and yeah, this is Eastern Exorcist. It's actually a game that's only been out for like a month and a half or so. So yeah, it's still a very new game, but yeah, excited to see how or show all you this fun and interesting game. So time will start when I hit this button. So I'll start in 3, 2, 1, go. And the way I've essentially described this is, what if you took Sekiro, made it like a 2D beat 'em up? Because essentially that's how this one plays. And right there we see the very quick mechanic of this game is you have to do all these fights and you need to dispel these enemies or else they just keep on coming back. And yeah, it's just a lot of what I ended up just having to discover was like the quickest way to clear a lot of these screens in the most efficient way as possible and without wasting too much time. And every time you finish a combat, he will try and sheath his blade, but I've found that if you just jump immediately, you kind of cancel that animation. So it's kind of neat. So yeah, as I mentioned, this game has only been out for like a month and a half. It's actually from a Chinese developer called Wildfire Games, I do believe. And there's a lot of Chinese stylings throughout this game. So yeah, there's this fox spirit, and essentially us four here, we're a bunch of exorcists from a school, and we're after this particular big bad guy called King Mandrill. And there was talks that the fox spirits were working with him, so the other people were getting a little bit cranky at that other fox spirit. But we were like, nah, we're all good on that front. So we just gotta keep on moving forward as we try and get more information about where this King Mandrill is. And also, you do get like double jumps, and these orbs are just like your skill points, just experience numbers, really. As I get into the most annoying enemies in the game, anything that's flying. Also, yeah, you do have parries and blocks. You can time those. And here comes the first of the bosses. It's a big ol' ape. And one thing that they don't really tell you about the jumping attack that you just saw there, for a little bit into the game, it's actually one of the most powerful moves. And yeah, with the bosses, you just see the blue bar, that is their shield, and once you deplete that, they end up taking a lot more damage, and you can just keep wailing away at them. And you kind of have to time to get that big slash. You really need to actually time it with some of your attacks. And yeah, that's the first boss down. There's quite a few to go. And unfortunately, yeah, already we're into, yeah. Two of the people with us ended up dying because apparently King Mandrill was made aware of our plans. Oh. Let me just beat these. There's another round of rats. There we go. Just level up a bit. There are a lot of they're called exorcism arts in this game. We'll end up getting a whole bunch of them, but I'll only end up using one of them because that's the only one I actually like using. There we go. You just deflect the long-range attacks. And here is the fourth member of our troop who has been found injured. It's nice that you can actually skip a lot of or pretty much all of the cutscenes in this. This is probably one of the longest loading screens because it ends up just like sending you into a little kind of testing zone. It's like, do you want to try out some of these new other these new things that we're telling you how to do, like dodging and all that kind of stuff? But I can just like jump straight to the end. You'll just exit those trials. Oh. I always forget to do the animation cancelling for that. Let's just go through here. Yeah, it just turns out that the one exorcism art that I end up using the most is the one that you get right at the start, well, close to the start. All right, so we finally come to this village because essentially what we've done now is we're taking the ashes back, or the ashes of those two deceased, well, I think they're brothers, well, brothers in the school sense, back to their hometowns, and we're just trying to lay them to rest and then try and deal with King Mandel. And yeah, this village has had a bunch of problems with demons and creatures and stuff. And this Taoist is here to try and ward away some of the demons, and as you can see, not going too well for him. So luckily, we're here to kind of save the day. But deal with them. And now we get the Imperial Sword. We have to just come to the village and get to the Ancestral Hall. Let's just quickly grab some of these orbs. Also, all of the voice acting is in Chinese because it is a game from a Chinese developer, and that's not necessarily out of me choosing to have it in Chinese. It's just like that's what it is. Oh. Come on. It can get a little bit finicky with some of the hitting things. Let me just grab these. Now we'll see some fun things with these swords. Now whenever I use a Dispel, it will create a sword which will fling at the nearest enemy. And whenever I hit things, I will now create a bunch of sword energy, as you can see on the bottom of the screen. And whenever I dodge, I will use all that sword energy, and it will fling a bunch of swords at nearby enemies. So yeah, it ends up just being a lot of swords being flung around. There are like some of the other ones are like there's one of the exorcism arts which it immediately drops your health down to like critical levels, but you get increased damage and stats while you're at low health, which you'd think it'd be pretty good for a speedrun, but I just haven't really put as much time and effort into figuring that one out just yet. Just got to clear out this boat of whatever these are, just ghouls. always forget about that enemy. So yeah, it's very much like a beat 'em up where you have to beat everything that's on the screen before you can actually move on. And now we're into the next of the bosses. It's a big old fish. Another thing with these swords that if I do a perfect dodge, it will immediately fling just a bunch of swords at an enemy. So yeah, go away from them to come up, and then if I just keep on dodging through those active hitboxes, it will just keep on like flinging more and more swords. Like that. Try and fling as many swords as while it's under. Oh, let me just get hit by all of that. There's that mini boss. Oh, say mini boss. It's a boss. Taken care of. Can't remember which exorcism that one is. I've kind of forgotten when I get most of them anyway because I just don't really use any of the other ones. Alright, now it's telling me that I can teleport back to the village so I can let them know that the fish friend has been taken care of. And I have to go back into this similar area. You can see it's rather good with like tutorializing the first playthrough. It at least tells you like a lot of stuff going forward, which is quite nice. At least lets me not forget things too easily, which is bound to happen. It says you can switch the arts, which you can kind of do with this, but as I mentioned, I'm not going to be using anything else. Because as you can see, there's a lot of swords you just fling around. And it actually gets the job done most of the time. Gotta come through here. Just power up a little bit more. Now for a bigger version of this thing that we've been seeing quite a bit already. Yeah, and if you do the parrying on some of their attacks, on a lot of the boss attacks, you end up doing a lot of damage to them, to the shield. Oop. And if I was to just hit this button, and just send, it just sends like a bunch of swords to everything. These spirits are really annoying, so it's always nice to get enough swords into the skies to hit them just completely out, just kind of anti-air them. Oh, not that. Alright, next are the bosses. This guy usually pummels me a few times if I'm not careful. Alright, I think we're good for now. Like that. So yeah, I do have the estimate for about 1:25, but that was like when I was kind of just starting out the speedrun for this, and was getting 115, 120 around that part, and that was when I was like thinking of having it as a new game plus thing, and then I realized that the more I was doing the single or the single file, the tougher each run was getting. So it was actually I was wondering why the game was getting harder and harder. I was like, oh yeah, that like actually makes a lot of sense. Like the more you do a new game plus, the harder the game gets. So I was like kind of just baiting myself into trying this thing, and then I realized I can just do just a straight up new game, and it's just as fast, if not faster, just to do it that way. So there's a good chance I'll probably end up doing this in around an hour 5 or something along those lines. Was one I did last night. Well, for me, it was about an hour 4. I needed to give you the drink, didn't I? Yes, I did get better at it as well, which also does help. But also, like one thing I found out is that the more playthroughs you do, yeah, there are stronger enemies and there are more of them in a lot of different areas. So, jump a little bit too far. So that was another reason to not bother with New Game Plus, at least for the speedrunning so far. Oh. And here's what happens if you don't dispel them in time. They come back and are stronger. So there's a very strong incentive to actually get rid of them as you can. Come on. Oh, I didn't realize that they had been hit. These things are really annoying. They just... Where are you going? Right. Oop. The glowing box, those are little shrines. Hmm. Those things are really annoying. Just gotta say. Now there's a weird child in a spooky forest. Because why? Ugh. Also, movement in this, especially in the air, can feel very floaty, which at the time isn't too much of an issue, but there are certain like rooms like that where you're needing to do a lot of vertical platforming, which can get a little bit feels a little bit wonky at times. But at least it's not too bad. And here's the next boss. We found the child, but there's a child demon thing as well. Shield. There we go. It's like a bunch of Twitch mates. Yeah. Also, we now have this this little mirror thing that for a lot of the bosses, it will end up showing you like a lot of the backstory to how those bosses came into being. And it's done in a very Chinese opera style, which if you're not ready for it, it can be a little bit jarring. I will say that much. Yeah, it's really kind of cool. And now for the boss that has all the justification in the world for being real angry. Chu, because straight up, she was essentially sentenced to death and thrown into this well by that village. So she's kind of got very good reason to be very annoyed at this village. And she's like, just leave this village to me. You don't have to get involved. And it's like, no, you're a demon. And exercising demons is kind of what I do. So unfortunately, we've reached an impasse. So yeah. Here is Chu. There's a lot of good boss designs in this game, I'll say that much. There's a lot of good ones to come. Ah. Alright, so now we have to get back to the village to make sure that she doesn't deal too much damage. Well, a bit late for that. Funnily enough, this guy's the only one to survive. As per usual. He just manages to survive a lot of situations that he's like, alright, bud. And, well, there's the laws of the village essentially just taken out. Such an unholy vibe to it. Yeah, it can get a bit like that. Alright, now this boss can sometimes be a bit annoying. If I can dodge all these, no. As long as I can get that first shield break, it's usually not too bad. Let's just get in that first one. If I can just dodge through all of these. It's actually the attack I like because it means I can just like dodge through all of those. See these active hitboxes, I can just dodge through them indefinitely, or as they exist. And every time I dodge through that active hitbox, it will throw another bunch of swords at them. So that's one of the reasons I kind of like using these. Alright, now that's the first of the brothers laid to rest. And now we go to, I think it's called Dragon King Village, which just name alone is pretty damn cool. And let me just quickly just grab some of these extra things. Just found the rest of that page. I mean, it's hard for me to not make comparisons to Sekiro, at least when it comes to a lot of the style of the game. And just like in Sekiro, there is a dragon that I'll have to deal with later on. Oh yeah, so we ended up giving the ashes to, or this is the resting place for the other of the deceased, and the guy there was like, just one word of warning, with this whole miasma going on in this area, try and stay away from the mountains or the forest and all that. And the first thing we do as soon as we leave the hall is chase the fox spirit into the forest. So not the wisest of moves, I'll say that much. Yeah, this is the fox spirit that we found at the start of the game, and was then accused of ending up, who was accused of telling Mandrill of the plans and got the other people killed. These things are annoying. Right, there's a little puzzle to go along with this forest, which is the correct direction to go is by following the flow of the miasma. And they usually are fucked up in mythology. Yeah! They're more like very trickster-esque. So you have to be very careful around them, I do believe. So yeah, you can see kind of subtly the miasma is flowing to the left, so I'll have to go left after this fight. And now we get to fight another friend. It's a frog. Go back to the right. Alright, we finally left the forest or the woods, and yeah, now we come across this whole scene, which is it's like, all right, now we're embroiled in a thing about human sacrifice. Oh, that's satisfying. These bats are annoying. Anytime I'm forced to do aerial combat, I'm just like, can I not? Get rid of those as quick as possible. Statue things are just like big tanks. I just have to throw enough shit at them to eventually take care of them. Now you decide to put the sword away. Ah, kind of mistimed that a little bit. And it's very easy to get, like, if you do get stunned, you're kind of out for a little bit. Which can be very annoying. This is what I was talking about when it comes to like kind of the floating mechanics of Oh, I actually got that first try. Neat. And then the next of the bosses. This one can really be a little bit trolly because there's a bunch of different types of attacks that it can do. And it can just like teleport around the map and just be a big old nuisance. What's that? I think I can say that was not too bad. I think what else there is. Yeah. This guy is essentially the boyfriend of the one who's said to be sacrificed. Oh, and also my least favorite enemies. These weird looking spider things that I just hate to look at them. And they're also like really annoying mechanics wise because they do this. Please don't roll, thank you. It's very easy to just like commit an attack and then just have an enemy just like roll away or just get out in some way, shape, or form. And funnily enough, here he is again, the Taoist. This is always ending up in the worst of situations, and now there's a big spider with, yeah, the weird faces. Yeah. Too much ignition. It is possible to like deal damage to them even if they do have the shield. It's just it's very much reduced, so it's ideal to try and get rid of the shield as quick as possible, which is where the jumping slash and also the charged strikes end up doing a lot of damage to the shields, and also the swords do a good amount. Well, the flying swords end up doing a decent amount to the shields. Now this screen actually found out rather interestingly that if I don't go too deep, I can not spawn an extra set of enemies. So there would have been like another couple of those tar enemies and the big gloopy stuff at the very bottom, which would have been really annoying to deal with. But thankfully, if you kill those spiders high up enough, they just don't spawn in, which is nice. Now we're in for an evil tree. If you don't time it well, the charge strike can take a while, as you can see. There we go. think that's pretty much the forest done, and we've caught up to this spirit, who end up actually saving us from the train or the forest. There's a story thing in that cutscene that was like she kind of helped us out with this whole thing, and now she's actually trying to help us out and very insistent that she didn't actually sell us out to Mandrill and got our other friends killed. And so she's willing to help us out and wanting to get rid of King Mandrill as well. And so for now, we're trusting her. One good thing about these kinds of games is that all the spawns are pretty much predetermined, so you kind of know how to. You can set forward a plan. Trust in my video game lore? Yeah, that's. I can't actually. This one. One of those the special orbs that I picked up. You have to use those for some of those later towns. So, trying to route in specific ones to get in like specific towns is something for me to look into a little bit more later. Have to pick up an item off his body. This is the guy that we ran into before. He was in that jail cell. And now we have to stop this human sacrifice from going ahead because that shit ain't good. Not. Wasn't what I intended to happen. I was trying to deflect that, but sure, I'll go with the attack. Alright. So here we interrupt. A little bit of wind. I also really like the name of this boss that's coming up. It's just got a very interesting name. And look to it is it's something to look at. It's a lot of hands. These things are annoying. Sometimes you can have real clean fights against this, and then these. I'll just send all those little pellets around, which will just be a big nuisance. There we go. Many split. Alright, and now the spirits have whisked away the two women, so now we have to do the usual thing of going to save them. Also, these things, just annoying. When I was trying the New Game Plus, these things were absolutely kicking my ass, like, consistently. I was trying out different exorcism masks. It's like, will this work better? Will this work better? I was like, turns out if I just do it on New Game, it just actually just real easy. There are some of the cool like upgrades to the exorcism art that if I do a specific attack while I have 100 mana, it will like send a whole bunch of other flying swords. So if one of them is if I do the jumping strike from the ground, it will send like a whole bunch of ice arrows towards enemies, which will make them weaker, and like that will take more damage. And there's another one that if you take it, you can actually take them both. When you do the charge strike, it will send out a bunch of flaming swords. So there's some pretty cool things, but it's just like you kind of got to get enough of the orbs. And also, here's the dragon. It's a pretty cool looking one, though. I'll say that much. You can tell it's been. Oh, okay, that wasn't. I haven't actually done that one yet. Kind of slid a little bit more than I expected. In quite a few of the runs, I ended up killing myself like at this point because I tried to go a little bit too fast and just ended up dipping a little bit too low and just not making the jump and just dying and having to do this whole section again. Yeah, much like in Sekiro, the dragon fight is very cinematic and very drawn out and very annoying. Ow. Have to wait to come back. Can't really do damage to it, at least as far as I'm aware, until it's like in this style. No, that's not how it works. If I can, I need to be able to. There we go. That's a lot of damage. It's like if I'm able to get the parries on the tail like very efficiently, the fight can go much quicker. But this one has been a little bit, a little bit iffy. Just gotta wait for it to come back down. There we go. Doing that formation. And there we go. There's the dragon defeated. And now we're on the path to King Mandrill, I do believe. Or at least the fox spirits are going to help me get in his general direction. At least this boy has the information we need. All right, and yeah, this is the fourth person who was amongst that opening group, and we've sent him a message saying that, well, this is like the one of the few lines that I can't actually just like spam through. I guess they really want us to really grasp that one. All right. The maximum level is 30, so you can end up maxing out pretty easily over the course of a single run. Try to break some of these shields. waste of a... Ugh. Come on. I hate all these these archers are just annoying. So that big sword that I throw out, I can just use 20 mana to just throw one out normally, but if you do get the Dispel with it, it's a free one, so that's the most ideal way of getting it. Now for... is it the general? Is it the general? Colonel. Oop. He still had some momentum going on. There is a boss coming up, not that far away, called Lady Poison, and I think a lot of people get a kick out of the design. It's a buff cat. There's an even buffer lad coming up soon as the next boss. Yeah, Lady Poison is probably the design that impressed on me the most when I first played through this game. I was like, geez, they are going places with this. Remember when I said flying units are really annoying? Yeah, they still are. I'm just stop getting caught under the bridge. Oh, speaking of bridges, this is actually a friend of a monkey. It may not seem like it, but yeah, he wants to help. I'm trying to remember what's up next. Oh. Oh, come on. Yep, just send in the... There are certain sections in this game where like you can avoid doing certain fights, like right here, not here. Oh, that's... If I go down there, I do a fight that I don't need to, which is something I've done from time to time in some of these runs. Just accidentally just drop down, just miss the jump, and have to do an extra fight because whoops. So yeah, a bigger buffalo boy. Just send all the swords in his direction, though. Ow. Just gotta wait for that shield to go down. Ugh. There we go. And of course, the Taoist is still here. He's always getting caught up in the wrong place at the wrong time, consistently. He's one of those characters, I guess. Get rid of those shields. There we go. Just got to start that animation so I can cancel it. I did that thing again where I sent all those swords into the shield. Now that they're all grouped up. Oh, there we go. Huh. I think it's after this screen that I have butterfly poison. Butterfly is a different character. Butterfly is a different lady that I've had to verse an awful lot. Yeah. Alright, here we go. So it's like Orin, right? You've got that kind of vibe going on. And then you see what's actually going on. It's like, oh boy. Hmm. Why am I screwing up this? When she's doing that forward stance, she is ready to counterattack. So similarly to when the Rhino was holding up the shield, you don't attack into that. You kind of just gotta wait it out for a little bit. And that was Lady Poison. What are we at? Not going too bad for time. And one fun thing is that you can just like dash infinitely in the air. I have tried to get as high as possible to like go over the top of this combat, but unless I need to go higher than what I have been, I don't think you can just skip over it. Oop. Let me just get hit by everything. That would have been really annoying if they had respawned. Oop. It also does a lot of damage if you do get the reflex, so if you can. It's ideal to go for it. These things do just like a lot of poison damage. They're just like really elusive, so you kind of just... Alright. Oh, no one I want to pick up. Now max level, and time to fight King Mandrill. It's a big monkey. Or eight. Whichever one you want to go with. I'm sick of like distinguishing between monkey and ape. Thanks to Sekiro. Like, oh, so many monkeys, so many apes. They're all annoying. They all kill me like over and over. It's an hour, yeah. This fight isn't usually too much of an issue. I want to use the most amount of attacks to fill up the sword energy to 10, and then get to a good spot so I can... Oh, never mind. Get far enough back so I can do the jumping slash, and that is Mandrill. True, it doesn't look like a man or a drill. What's that species of barbarian or whatever? Something along those lines? Alright, and now with this, we find out that something is not right. One more fight to go. And it's in. Who would have thought? Yeah, turns out he was behind it all, and he was the one who sold out everyone to and got them killed. Oh, that's an annoying one. Doing it twice? Really? You're gonna do that to me? Also, time will come up when it fades to black. So, could be soon. And time. Cool. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, that's Eastern Exorcist. It's a really cool game. So yeah, it's kind of weird how the story ends in like this, where it's like you kind of end up being viewed very negatively by a lot of people because you end up conspiring with this fox spirit. But this one guy, this Taoist, who just ends up being just amongst all of it is the other one who's like, no, this guy's actually like a good lad. Yeah, that is Eastern Exorcist. I hope you enjoyed it. And how much 43? That could be maybe my fastest time. Also, they have this bunch of stuff at the end that's like, hey, this is stuff that's going to come in eventually, which looks pretty cool. At least, like, one thing about this game that I will say is that the designs are very neat. Let me just quickly look at what the in-game time was. 56:29. What? Huh, that was actually my fastest time. Who would have thought? But anyway, yeah, thanks for having me. I'll let Jake come back and finish things off. Thank you.
I forgot to unmute. So I have to continue to remember to both mute and unmute both Discord and OBS whenever we do the Twitch run or the Discord. The Discord. Oh my god, my brain isn't working. I just want to do the streaming on Discord. But yeah, that was it for